Have you ever noticed something strange? When your phone battery drops to 1%, everything suddenly becomes urgent. You stop scrolling. You close useless apps. You search desperately for a charger. Suddenly, you become focused. But here's the real question. If we can become that focused when a device is about to shut down, why do we ignore the warning signs in our own life? Why do we keep living carelessly when our own energy is slowly draining every day? An empty battery is not just a warning for your phone, it is a lesson for your life. Because just like a device, you also run on energy, mental, emotional, spiritual, and when that energy dies, no success, no money, no applause can power you back on. So today let's learn 7 powerful truths an empty battery can teach you about life. And if you truly understand them, you will never live the same way again. The first is that energy is more valuable than time. Because time only moves the clock, but energy moves the human being. Think about this carefully. 2 people can wake up at the same hour, look at the same sunrise, drink the same coffee, yet their days unfold completely differently. One moves through the morning like a charged engine. Ideas appear. Work flows. Problems feel solvable. The other feels heavy before the day even begins. The alarm rings, the body wakes, but the spirit still feels asleep. The difference is not time. Both were given the same 24 hours. The difference is energy. Energy decides whether a moment becomes progress or just another hour that quietly disappears. Without energy, even a free day feels exhausting. With energy, even a busy day feels alive. You can see this everywhere in daily life. Picture a man sitting in his car during traffic, same road, same delay, same red lights. But if his energy is good, he turns on music, maybe laughs at something on the radio, maybe even enjoys the strange peace of being forced to sit still. Now, imagine the same man on a day when his energy is drained. Suddenly the same traffic becomes a personal insult from the universe. Every horn sounds louder. Every red light feels longer. And somewhere in the middle of it all, he mutters, "Why is this day so terrible?" The road didn't change. The clock didn't change. His battery changed. There was a young college student once who came to a mentor complaining about time. "I have so many dreams," he said, "but there's never enough time." The mentor asked him a simple question. "Last Sunday, what did you do?" The student fought for a moment. "Well, I woke up late. Then I watched some videos. Then I felt tired. Then I scrolled on my phone for a few hours. Then it was evening." The mentor smiled and said, "You had time. What you didn't have was energy." When the mind is dull, even small tasks feel like climbing a mountain. When the mind is alive, mountains start to look like interesting hiking trails. Let me tell you something funny about human behavior. We treat our phones better than we treat ourselves. When the battery drops to 10%, panic begins. Suddenly we close apps, lower brightness, turn off Bluetooth. We become careful, strategic, responsible citizens of the battery world. But when our own energy drops to 10%, what do? We open another social media app, start another useless argument, eat something that probably came from a laboratory instead of a kitchen. And then we wonder why we feel exhausted. Imagine if your phone behaved like we behave. You plug it into the charger and the phone says, "No thanks. I'm going to open 17 apps instead." You would return that phone immediately. Energy is invisible, but its effects are loud. You can hear it in a person's voice. You can see it in their walk. Have you ever met someone who enters a room and suddenly the room feels lighter? Conversations become easier. People smile more. Even silence feels comfortable. That is the presence of strong energy. And the opposite is also true. Sometimes someone enters the room and suddenly the air feels heavy, nothing bad happened. Yet everyone senses it. This is why protecting your energy is not selfish. It is a responsibility. Your energy shapes the emotional weather around you. A teacher once shared a simple story with his class. He brought two flashlights. One had fresh batteries, the other had nearly dead ones. He turned both on and placed them on the table. The first beam was bright and clear. It reached across the entire room. The second flickered weakly. It struggled to illuminate even the desk. Then he asked the students which flashlight had more time. The class laughed. Of course, both flashlights had the same time. The difference was the power inside. Your life works the same way. Your ideas are the light, your goals are the direction. But energy is the battery that allows the light to travel. And here is something important many people misunderstand. Energy is not only physical. You can sleep 8 hours and still wake up tired if your mind is full of worry. You can sit all day doing nothing and still feel exhausted if your heart carries frustration. Emotional energy matters, mental energy matters, spiritual energy matters. A person who forgives easily often has more energy. A person who constantly holds grudges slowly drains their own battery. Think about how heavy it feels to carry anger for months. It is like walking around with a backpack full of stones and wondering why the journey feels difficult. So the real question is not how much time do I have today. The real question is quieter, deeper, and more honest. What is the state of my energy today? Because when your energy is high, possibilities appear, you speak with confidence, you think with clarity, you act with courage. But when your energy is low, even opportunity can look like a burden. The same door stands in front of two people. One walks through it with excitement. The other walks past it, too tired to even knock. And the clock keeps moving. The hours keep passing, waiting patiently for someone with enough energy to actually live them. The second key point is not every app deserves to run, because the things you allow to stay active in your life quietly decide how much energy you lose every day. Take a moment and imagine your phone right now. You open the screen and there are 20 apps running in the background. A shopping app, refreshing deals you don't need, a game waiting for you to return. Messages from group chats you muted 3 years ago but never left. Quietly, silently, these apps are working. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly draining power. Life is strangely similar. Many of the things that exhaust us are not loud problems. They are quiet ones. A small worry that never leaves your mind. A comparison you make every time you scroll online. A memory of something embarrassing you did 6 years ago that only you still remember. These little background thoughts keep running. And like apps, they keep draining the battery. A man once told his friend, "I feel tired all the time, but I'm not even doing anything difficult." His friend asked him a curious question. "How many arguments are you carrying in your head?" The man laughed, then paused. Because suddenly he realized something. He had imaginary conversations running all day. In his mind, he was explaining things to people. Why? Were not even present. Winning debates that never happened. Replaying moments where he wished he had said something clever. His brain had become a courtroom that never closed. No wonder he felt tired. When your mind runs too many background apps, peace becomes impossible. Think about the strange habit we have with other people's opinions. Someone says one small negative comment, maybe even casually, and suddenly that comment becomes an app running in our head for weeks. You are brushing your teeth and the comment appears. You are driving, and the comment appears. You are trying to sleep, and suddenly your brain says, "Remember what they said about you." It's like installing a very annoying app that sends notifications every 10 minutes. Ding. They don't respect you. Ding. You should have responded better. Ding. Why didn't you say this? And the funny part is, the person who said the comment probably forgot it 5 minutes later. But your mind keeps running the app. Let me tell you a small story. There was a woman who used to check social media every few minutes. Not because she enjoyed it, but because she felt she had to keep up with everyone. One day, she noticed something strange. After scrolling for 30 minutes, she felt more tired than after cleaning her entire kitchen. That confused her. Cleaning dishes is physical work. Scrolling is just using your thumb. But what she didn't realize was that every photo she saw started a comparison in her mind. Their life looks better. They travel more. They seem happier. Each thought was like opening another app. And by the end of 30 minutes, her mental battery was nearly empty. Now here's the interesting part. Successful and peaceful people do something very simple but very powerful. They close apps. They don't try to manage 50 distractions. They remove them. They leave certain conversations. They stop revisiting old problems. They reduce noise. Imagine trying to cook dinner while 10 different radios are playing in your kitchen. Country music here, news there, someone shouting sports scores in the corner. You would lose your mind. Yet, this is exactly what many people allow inside their thoughts every day. Too many voices. Too many opinions. Too many opinions. Too many unnecessary tabs open. Sometimes the background apps are habits that look harmless. For example, endless overthinking. Overthinking pretends to be helpful. It says, let's analyze this situation one more time. Then one more time. Then one more time again. Like a hamster running on a tiny wheel, convinced it is traveling across the world. But the wheel never moves. Energy disappears. Progress stays the same. Or take the habit of saying yes to everything. A colleague asks for help. You say yes. A friend wants your evening. You say yes. Someone invites you somewhere you don't even want to go, and somehow you still say yes. Suddenly your calendar looks full, but your heart feels empty. And there is something slightly funny about this whole situation. Imagine if your phone behaved like we behave. Every time a useless app opened, the phone politely asked, "Excuse me. Are you sure you want to keep this running? It may drain your battery." What a beautiful feature that would be. But life actually gives you that feature. It's called awareness. That small voice in your mind that whispers, "This conversation is pointless. This worry is unnecessary. This habit is draining you." Most people hear that voice and ignore it. The wiser choice is simple. Close the app, let silence return, let the mind breathe again, and suddenly the battery lasts much longer. The third key point is a charger is not a luxury. It is a necessity, because every human being, no matter how strong, talented, or disciplined, eventually runs out of energy without something that restores the soul. Look at how naturally we treat our devices. When the battery drops, we don't argue with reality. We don't say, "Come on phone, be strong, keep working." We simply plug it in. No drama, no guilt, no long discussion. Charging is normal, expected, logical. Yet, when it comes to our own lives, we behave in a very strange way. We feel tired, mentally foggy, emotionally drained, and instead of recharging, we push harder. Another task, another meeting, another hours staring at screens. It's like a phone at 2% battery deciding to open 5 more apps and start a video call. Brave, yes. Smart, not really. There was a young doctor who once admitted something very honest to a friend. He said, "I spent years learning how to keep patients alive, but I never learned how to keep my own spirit alive." His days were full of responsibility. Alarms, emergencies, decisions that mattered. And slowly, without realizing it, his energy started fading. Not suddenly, quietly. Like a light bulb dimming so slowly that you barely noticed the change. One evening, he sat alone in his car after work, engine off, silence around him, and for the first time in months, he just breathed. No phone, no voices, just stillness. 10 minutes later, he felt something surprising. His mind felt lighter. That moment became his charger. Recharging does not always look dramatic. It's rarely some grand mountain retreat or silent temple on a hill. Sometimes the charger is very simple. A slow walk in the evening when the air is cool, a cup of tea with someone who listens more than they speak. A few quiet minutes before the world wakes up. These small moments look ordinary from the outside, but inside they restore something precious. The human mind needs space the way lungs need air. Without space, thoughts become crowded, feelings become tangled, life begins to feel like a noisy mark, a place where everyone is shouting at once. Let me tell you something slightly funny about modern life. Many people say they don't have time to recharge, but they somehow have time to stare at their phone for 2 hours doing absolutely nothing useful. It's an impressive skill, actually. Scientists might study it one day. A person can open an app for just 5 minutes, and suddenly the sun has set, 3 snacks have disappeared, and the brain feels like mashed potatoes. That is not recharging. That is like plugging your phone into a charger made of spaghetti. Technically, something is happening, but the battery is not getting stronger. A school teacher once noticed something interesting about her students. The children who performed best were not always the ones who studied the longest. Often they were the ones who knew when to step away. One boy would close his books every evening at the same time. Then he would go outside, throw a ball against a wall, laugh with friends, sometimes lie on the grass, staring at clouds that looked like dinosaurs. When he returned to his desk later, his mind was sharp again, fresh, curious. Another student kept pushing, without breaks, study, study, study. But his mind became dull and frustrated. The difference was not intelligence. It was recharging. Your charger might look different from someone else's, and that's perfectly fine. For some people, the charger is prayer, a quiet moment of connecting with something greater than themselves. For others, it's movement, running, stretching, walking until the mind settles like dust after a storm. Some recharge through creativity, painting, writing, playing music that nobody else will ever hear. These activities may seem small, but they feed the inner battery, and when that battery fills again, clarity returns, patience returns, even humor returns. Suddenly, problems that looked enormous yesterday, we eat healthy, we appear manageable today. Think about the people who feel calm even during busy times. They are not superheroes. They simply know where their charger is. They return to it regularly. They respect it. They protect it. Just like someone who always knows where their phone charger is, while the rest of us are crawling under tables, looking for cables like detectives solving a mystery. Life works the same way. If you know what restores your energy, you carry a quiet advantage. Because whenever life begins to drain you, and it will, you know exactly where to plug back in and let the current of peace slowly bring you back to full. The fourth key point is when the battery is low, priorities become clear because the moment your energy is limited, life quietly reveals what actually matters and what was only noise. Think about your phone when it reaches 2% battery, suddenly something fascinating happens. You become wise, very wise. You stop watching random videos. You stop opening 5 different apps at once. You become selective, careful, strategic. Only the important things remain. Maybe a call you must make, maybe a message that truly matters. Everything else can wait. It's amazing how quickly clarity appears when energy becomes scarce. Life behaves the same way. When your emotional or physical battery runs low, your mind begins to see through the fog. You realize which activities actually matter and which ones were simply filling empty space. A man once shared a small story from his hospital room. He had been working non-stop for years, chasing promotions, attending every meeting, answering emails late into the night. His calendar looked like a crowded subway train, no space anywhere. Then, one day, his health forced him to stop. Not forever, just for a while. But during those quiet days in the hospital bed, something surprising happened. All the urgent things disappeared from his mind. Not a single email mattered anymore. Not one meeting seemed important. Instead, his thoughts kept returning to very simple things: his daughter's laugh, his mother's voice on the phone, the evening walks he kept postponing. His battery was low, and suddenly life showed him the real priorities. It's strange how we wait for exhaustion or crisis before we allow ourselves that clarity. Imagine if we practice this wisdom even when our battery is full. Imagine waking up and asking a simple question: if my energy were limited today, what would truly deserve it? That question alone can reorganize an entire day. Suddenly, the endless scrolling feels less attractive. The unnecessary argument feels smaller. The urge to impress strangers begins to fade. Instead, the mind leans toward what actually feeds the soul. Meaningful work, genuine conversations, moments of quiet presence. There is a funny example many parents know very well. A child can play video games for hours without any sign of fatigue. Endless energy, endless excitement. But the moment someone says, "Time to clean your room," suddenly the child becomes the most exhausted human in history. "I'm so tired, maybe tomorrow." The battery didn't suddenly drop, the priorities simply changed. Adults are not very different, if we're honest. We often have energy for distractions, but feel mysteriously drained when it comes to the things that truly improve our lives. That's why awareness matters. It helps us notice where our energy actually goes. A teacher once performed a simple experiment with his students. He gave each student 10 coins and said, "These coins represent your daily energy." Then he asked them to spend the coins on different activities they did every day. 1 coin for social media, 1 coin for worrying about other people's opinions, 1 coin for complaining about problems, 1 coin faith or meaningful work, 1 coin for family. Within minutes, most students had spent all 10 coins, and many realized something uncomfortable. Very few coins were left for the things they claimed mattered most. The lesson was simple. Energy is a currency, spend it carefully. When the battery drops, even small choices become meaningful. Do I respond to this message or do I rest? Do I continue this pointless conversation or do I step away? Do I chase approval or protect my peace? These questions become sharper when energy is limited. And interestingly, the answers often lead towards simplicity. Fewer distractions, fewer obligations, more intention. Life begins to feel less like a chaotic marketplace and more like a quiet path where each step is chosen deliberately. There is something peaceful about this kind of clarity. It removes the pressure to do everything. It frees you from the illusion that every opportunity must be chased. Because when energy is limited, and it always is, you begin to understand something powerful. Not every door needs to be opened. Not every invitation needs to be accepted. Not every opinion deserves attention, and slowly, gently, the mind learns to protect its energy for the people, the moments, and the dreams that truly deserve a place inside your life. The fifth key point is overcharging doesn't make the battery stronger, because pushing yourself endlessly without rest does not create strength, it quietly destroys it. There is a common belief in the modern world that more effort always means more success. Work longer, sleep less, keep pushing, keep grinding. It sounds heroic, almost like a movie scene where the determined character refuses to stop. But real life is not a movie. Real life has consequences. Even the strongest battery, if pushed without care, begins to weaken. Think about your phone for a moment. If you keep using it intensely, while charging, heating it up, stressing the system, over time the battery life becomes shorter. The phone that once lasted all day suddenly struggles to last until afternoon. Humans are no different. The body whispers before it collapses. The mind sends small signals before it shuts down. A young entrepreneur once bragged to his friends that he worked 18 hours a day. Sleep is for people without ambition, he said proudly. For a while, it seemed impressive. His business grew quickly. His phone was always ringing. His calendar looked like a complicated puzzle. But after a few years, something strange happened. His ideas became slower, his patience disappeared, small problems started feeling enormous. One afternoon, he forgot the name of a client he had worked with for 2 years. That moment frightened him. Not because he forgot a name, but because he realized his mind was tired, very tired. He had been treating his life like a machine that never needed maintenance. Rest is often misunderstood. Many people think rest means laziness, but laziness is when the mind avoids responsibility. Rest is when the mind prepares for responsibility. A farmer understands this very well. After a season of growing crops, the land is sometimes left empty. Not because the farmer forgot to plant, but because the soil needs recovery. Nutrients return, balance restores itself. Then the next season, the crops grow stronger. Imagine a farmer who never allowed the soil to rest. Year after year, planting without pause. At first, the harvest might look good, but eventually the soil becomes weak. The land stops giving its best. There was an old carpenter in a small town who had a simple habit. Every afternoon, no matter how busy he was, he stopped working for 15 minutes. He sat outside his workshop with a cup of tea. Some days he watched birds hop along the fence. Some days he just stared at the sky. A younger worker once asked him, "Why do you stop when you could finish more work?" The carpenter smiled and said, "I'm sharpening my saw." The young worker looked confused because the carpenter wasn't holding a saw at all. But the message was clear. If you never pause to sharpen the tool, the work becomes harder and slower. The work becomes harder and slower. The human mind needs similar sharpening. Think about the last time you solved a difficult problem. Did the answer appear while you were staring at the problem in frustration, or did it appear later when you stepped away for a moment? Often the best ideas arrive during a walk, a shower, or a quiet pause. The brain is fascinating that way. It works even when you are not forcing it. But if you never step back, never breathe, never rest, the mind becomes crowded. Creativity fades. Clarity disappears. And suddenly, you are working twice as hard for half the result. There is also something slightly funny about how proud people become of exhaustion. Someone says, "I only slept 4 hours last night." Another person quickly replies, "Oh yeah, I only slept 3." It becomes a strange competition, the Olympics of being tired. If exhaustion were a medal, many people would proudly stand on the podium. But deep down, the body keeps the score. Lack of rest shows up in irritability, poor focus, and a strange feeling that life has become heavier than it used to be. Strength does not come from constant pressure. Strength comes from rhythm, effort and recovery, work and rest, action and reflection. Just like breathing, inhale, inhale, exhale. Imagine trying to inhale forever without ever exhaling. Impossible, right? Yet many people try to live their lives exactly like that, constantly inhaling effort without allowing the natural exhale of rest. Over time, the system becomes strained. But when you respect the rhythm, something beautiful happens. Energy returns, the mind becomes clear again. And the same work that once felt overwhelming suddenly feels manageable, almost natural, like a well-balanced engine running smoothly instead of struggling to stay alive. The Sikhs teach key point is a dead battery disconnect you from the world. Because when your inner energy runs out, you don't just lose strength, you slowly lose connection with people, joy, patience, and even yourself. Think about what happens when your phone suddenly dies. One moment it is alive with messages, maps, music, calls, then black screen, silence. The connection disappears instantly. You cannot call anyone. You cannot receive anything. The device may still be in your hand, but it is no longer connected to the world around it. Now imagine the same thing happening inside a human being. The body is present. The person is sitting in the room, maybe even smiling politely, but internally the battery is empty. No patience left, no curiosity left, no emotional signal reaching others. It's like standing in a crowded room with excellent Wi-Fi, but your device has no power to connect. You can sometimes see this happen in everyday life. A father comes home after a long day. His child runs toward him with excitement, holding a drawing made at school. "Look what I made," the child says with bright eyes. But the father, exhausted and mentally drained, barely glances at the paper. "That's nice," he replies quickly, not because he doesn't love the child, not because the drawing isn't special, simply because his battery is empty. His mind is still stuck in the noise of work, deadlines, responsibilities. Later that night, he might even regret the moment, wishing he had reacted differently. The connection was there, the opportunity was there, the energy was not. Something similar happens in friendships too. When your inner battery is healthy, conversations flow easily. You listen fully. You laugh more freely. Even small stories feel interesting. But when your energy is gone, every conversation begins to feel like a chore. Someone tells you something exciting, and your brain quietly says, "Please stop talking. I'm tired." The words might sound polite on the outside, but the spirit of connection fades. Energy is what turns communication into connection. Without it, conversations become empty noise. There is also a strange thing that happens when the inner battery runs low. The mind starts creating problems that may not even exist. A simple message without a smiley face suddenly looks suspicious. A friend taking longer to reply becomes a personal mystery. Are they upset with me? Did I say something wrong? The tired brain becomes a terrible detective. inventing stories out of thin air. It's a little like watching a horror movie when you're already scared. Every shadow looks like danger. A well rested mind, on the other hand, simply shrugs and moves on. Let me tell you about a taxi driver who once shared a small but powerful lesson. He said that early in his career, he used to argue with difficult passengers. Someone would complain about the route, the traffic, the price, and he would respond immediately. Words would bounce back and forth like tennis balls. Dak, tennis balls. By the end of the day, he felt completely drained. Then an older driver gave him simple advice: protect your battery. The older driver explained that every unnecessary argument is like leaving the headlights on when the car is parked. Eventually, the battery dies. The taxi driver began choosing silence more often. Not because he became weak, but because he became wise about where his energy should go. Our emotional battery also decides how we see the world. When energy is strong, challenges look like puzzles waiting to be solved. When energy is weak, the same challenges look like mountains blocking the road. A small inconvenience, like a delayed train or a slow internet connection, suddenly feels like the end of civilization. Why is everything going wrong today? We ask dramatically, while the universe quietly continues doing its job. A well-charged mind responds differently. It adapts, it breathes, sometimes it even laughs at the situation. And laughter itself is a beautiful signal of connection. Think about the last time you laughed freely with someone. The kind of laughter where you forage your worries for a moment, where the conversation becomes light, playful, human. That kind of laughter rarely appears when the battery is empty. But when your inner energy is healthy, humor returns naturally. Even life's little annoyances start to feel like stories you'll laugh about later. The mind reconnects, the heart reconnects, and suddenly the world feels less like a heavy place to survive and more like a living network of moments, people, and experiences waiting for your energy to plug back in. The seventh key point is recharging takes minutes, draining takes seconds, because energy can slip away faster than you notice, but restoring it requires intention, care, and attention. Think about your phone again. One careless tap, one app left open, one long video on a slow charger, and suddenly the battery drops faster than you expected. A device that seemed full just minutes ago is now flashing 10%. Life works in the same way. One argument, one toxic conversation, one night of ignoring your own needs. In a moment, the battery inside you begins to fall. Often, we don't even notice the drain until it's almost too late, and then we panic. Where did my energy go? We ask, as if the world stole it. But it wasn't stolen. It was quietly spent on things that didn't deserve it. There was a man who prided himself on never missing a day of work. He thought that showing up constantly was proof of strength. But he noticed something strange. By mid-afternoon, even small tasks felt overwhelming. By evening, his patience with his family had vanished. One night, while making a cup of tea, he looked at the clock and realized he had wasted 4 hours arguing online about something trivial. 4 hours. And yet he thought he was just checking messages. Energy, he realized, drains faster than time. You can spend a whole day busy and end it empty, while another person carefully using their energy achieves more, laughs more, loves more, and still feels full. It's funny how we underestimate the speed of drain. A small negative comment from someone can stick in the mind like gum on a shoe. It seems harmless at first. One sticky piece, But as we walk through the day, our thoughts step on it again and again, grinding the energy out slowly. Before we know it, patience, joy, and motivation are all gone. Meanwhile, the person who made the comment is probably long gone, thinking about lunch or their favorite show. You, however, have been carrying the little drain all day like a backpack full of invisible stones. That's how subtle and fast energy leaves you. Sometimes the drain is invisible. Think about habits that seem harmless. Scrolling endlessly at night. Obsessing over things you cannot control. Worrying about future problems that may never come. Each act, iron may take just a few seconds, but the cumulative effect is enormous. By the time you notice your energy is low, your focus is gone, and even small challenges feel enormous. The human battery doesn't have a warning light like a phone. There's no red screen blinking to save you. You must notice it yourself, or the day will quietly consume you. But here's the beautiful part. Recharging doesn't have to be complicated. Even a few intentional minutes can refill the battery far more than hours of aimless activity. A short walk outside, listening to a song that lifts your mood, a deep breath taken deliberately, a small moment of gratitude. These minutes, done with intention, can restore focus, clarity, and emotional energy. It's funny because we often resist small pauses. I don't have time for this, we say, while simultaneously scrolling through memes for 45 minutes. The irony is delicious. A minute used wisely gives more power than an hour spent mindlessly. Consider the lessons of a professional athlete. Consider the lessons of a professional athlete. During a game, every second of movement drains the body. But brief pauses, a sip of water, a quiet focus on breathing, a glance at the strategy board restore not just energy but mental clarity. The game is won or lost in these small moments of recharge. Life works the same way. Tiny, intentional acts of energy restoration multiply across hours, days, months. Neglect them and your energy is gone in seconds. Embrace them and the same time feels longer, richer, more alive. And finally, there is a profound truth in this rhythm. Draining takes almost no effort at all. Energy leaves faster than we expect. But recharging, though it takes conscious choice, restores more than just what was lost. It teaches discipline. It teaches awareness. It teaches gratitude for the moments that truly matter, for does truly matter. One small pause, one intentional breath, one choice to step away can create a reserve of energy that lasts far longer than the careless seconds that drained it. Life becomes a series of conscious charges instead of endless unnoticed drains. And in that rhythm, power, clarity, and joy quietly return. And now, take a moment to let all of this settle. Think of your energy not as something endless that can be spent carelessly, but as a quiet, precious current that shapes every thought, every decision, every interaction. Life does not wait for exhaustion to teach wisdom. It simply continues, and the choice is yours to move with awareness or to drift through each day, unaware of what is slipping away. When you begin to see your energy as a compass, you start noticing the small things that matter, the conversations that spark warmth, the moments of stillness that restore clarity, the habits that gently strengthen you over time. You realize that the noise, the distractions, the endless background apps of worry and comparison, they are optional. You don't have to carry them. They do not define your journey. It is quietly empowering to understand that even the tiniest acts of care for yourself accumulate. A deep breath, a pause, a moment of reflection, a choice to step away from what drains you. These are not indulgence, they are the quiet architecture of a strong, resilient life. And when your battery is full, not only do you feel alive, you feel capable. You become fully present to the people, the work, the world that matters. The truth is subtle, but it changes everything. Energy is the real currency of life. Time is meaningless without it. Focus is impossible without it. Joy, patience, creativity, they all flow from it. Protect it, restore it. Choose wisely where it goes. And notice how your world begins to respond. How clarity appears in decisions, how connections feel warmer, how challenges feel solvable. And in that calm, deliberate awareness, there is freedom. Freedom from overextending. Freedom from chasing what is unimportant. Freedom from the constant drain of invisible demands. You begin to move with intention, not friction. You begin to create space for yourself in a world that is always pulling, and in that space, your life can finally feel full, not in busyness, not in distraction, but in energy, in presence, in quiet strength. So hold that understanding gently, like a candle lit in a quiet room. Let it guide your steps without forcing them. Let it shape the way you think, the way you act, the way you care. Because life will continue regardless. But now, you are equipped. Your battery is no longer invisible, no longer wasted. It is yours to tend, to protect, and to use wisely. And with that, you can move forward, carry. In J, calm certainty, a steady clarity, a quiet determination that is neither loud nor forced, but undeniable. You carry the knowledge of how to live fully, intentionally, and with energy that lasts. A life that feels alive, not just occupied, and a presence that touches the world with the weight of someone who knows what it truly means to be charged.